Allah, Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ba'd. Hadith 212, عن عائشة رضي الله عنها أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال. So Aisha said that the Prophet said, إذا نعس أحدكم وهو يصلي فليرقد حتى يذهب عنه النوم. So that if any one of you is praying and you start to get really tired, then you should go to sleep until you have your sleepiness and your tiredness has gone away. فإن أحدكم إذا صلى وهو ناعس لا يدري لعله يستغفر فيسب نفسه. So he says, what happens is if you're praying and you're really tired, you're exhausted, you won't know that when you're asking Allah for forgiveness, if you're actually cursing yourself, meaning you don't know what you're saying. And so the Messenger of Allah is giving advice and he's saying, if you're really exhausted and you're really tired, then you should just sleep and you can pray later. Now we stop for a moment and we think about this. There's a few things to reflect upon. First of all, what kind of prayer is he talking about? So for many of us, when we're praying and we're really tired, we're thinking about the prayers that we have to be praying. So let's say Isha prayer. You go to a party, you go to a walima, you go to some gathering, and it's late at night, and you ate a bunch of food, and you stayed up late, and you come home, and it's like 1 a.m. Or maybe that's early for some people, 2 a.m., whatever it may be, and you come, and you're like, oh, I'm so exhausted, I'm so tired. Let me follow the hadith and go to sleep first. And then wake up when? When are you going to wake up? So this is, the first thing is, this hadith is not about the fard prayers. It could apply that if you're really going to wake up, okay, maybe you get an hour of sleep and then you wake up and then you perform that prayer. But this hadith is primarily about the nawafil prayers, the extra prayers. The once you performed all your prayers, you should have done them on time. Now the Sahaba, they used to perform late prayers. They used to perform tahajjud. They used to do many, many more prayers. And what would happen is they used to get tired. In fact, one wife of the Prophet ﷺ, she used to pray inside the masjid. Some of the Sahaba, more than just one, they used to have a rope hanging in the back of the masjid. And when they would get tired, they would hold on to the rope and they would keep praying. The Prophet ﷺ, one time he said, whose rope is this? Yeah, this is Zainab's rope. She hangs on to it. Said, this is too much. Let her go to sleep. Which prayer? Is she hanging on the rope for Isha prayer? No, she's doing extra prayers. So first of all, this is applying to the Nawafil prayers, which many people say, if I get a little bit tired, I'm out. If this applies to Nawafil prayers, what about when it comes to our actual fard prayers? Right? So one of the important lessons is we shouldn't be delaying those prayers until we're so exhausted and we're so tired that we're like, oh, this is going to be very, very difficult to pray. So this is point number one. Point number two is that Prophet ﷺ, he makes this gesture. He goes, well, what are the reasons why you should why you should sleep, and why you shouldn't keep praying? Not just because your body gets worn out. This is a different hadith. Messenger of Allah said that your body gets worn out. Your body has a right over you. It's an amana. It's a responsibility. You need to take care of yourself. But here he's talking about you don't even understand what you're saying. In fact, you may be so exhausted, so tired, you're not even focusing on what you're saying. You might be trying to make dua for yourself. You make dua against yourself. Instead of saying astaghfirullah, you don't know, you can't even focus on the meaning. You end up cursing yourself. He says, what kind of prayer is that? Where you don't know the meaning or you're messing up the meaning of what you say. So Imam al-Ghazali, in some of his books, he takes this hadith and he says, this hadith points to the importance of number one, understanding what we're saying, and number two, reflecting upon what we say when we're saying it. So if the Messenger of Allah is telling us you need to be careful of what you say, he's saying, first of all, you need to understand what you're saying. Again, this wasn't a major problem, it was an issue, but it's an issue when people spend their whole lives and they don't even try to look up the translation of what the wording in salah is. Some people, you ask them, At-tahiyyatu lillahi wa salawat. I memorized that since I was a kid. I've been saying it for 40 years. So what does it mean? I don't know. Or some people, they know the Arabic. Did you ever wonder why you're saying At-tahiyyatu lillahi wa salawat? I know what it means in Arabic, but what's the purpose of saying it? Never thought about that. 40 years, I've never sat and even reflected upon why I'm saying this. And we should go beyond that. Spend 20 minutes just researching it. Or there's articles online. I have an article as well. We had sent it out on the ICOI newsletter like 2 years ago or something like that. Read some of those things and reflect. And the second is that when you know the meaning, sometimes we're not conscious of the state of what we're saying. So it just goes by. And you can tell it goes by. Some people, it happens to a lot of people. They're reciting Quran, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. And then they start yawning or they start coughing. And what happens? You don't want to pause. You don't want to stop. So you just keep going. It just keeps going in your mind. You just two verses pass by in your mind. And then you're like, if I stop, then it's going to ruin my rhythm. So I'm in a rhythm of prayer. I have to finish the prayer within a certain amount of time. We need to slow down in our prayer. We need to try. It's a constant struggle. It's not going to be 100% perfect. But we should try to get to a level where we are reflecting on every single statement that we say. Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. Whether it's fast or slow, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. Glory be to my Lord the Great. When we're in sajda, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. Glory be to my Lord the Most High. We should be reflecting on the statement or thinking about it while we're saying it, when we're saying it, or maybe 1 second after. But if we just become robotic and let everything fly by, then it falls in a similar category of we don't really understand what we're doing. And so Imam Ghazali mentions this hadith is an evidence for the importance of reflecting and understanding and thinking about what you're saying when you say it. Otherwise, you can say whatever you want and say, Allah will accept my intention, even though because I was tired. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase us in our concentration. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to be punctual in our prayers, and may Allah give us the energy and the strength to perform extra prayers as well. Ameen wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum.